Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Good Leader Podcast. Boy, we are fired up. We are on one today. We got lots of stuff happening in the pre-production meeting that we can't even talk about on the podcast. So be sure you're checking us out on YouTube to see all the in-between highlights. Jess Treat, tell us where we can see all those in-between delicious goodies.
You can find us on all socials at Paradigm Shift Leadership. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Check us out.
Excellent. Great job. Now, last time I dominated the intro because I was fired up about these LinkedIn videos. Today, I'm not going to say anything first. Well, I will give the little teaser. We're going to talk about creative work versus hard work. Hard work versus creative work, if you like the other direction. And I'm curious of your thoughts on that, but we'll save that. We'll get to that because I'm still in this burnout ideology. I'm still thinking about it. I'm wrestling about it. I love on the last episode that we talked about. That's very serious stuff. So now I'm kind of like, okay, if I acknowledge, you know what? I'm not burnout. I'm not. Maybe I'm stressed. Maybe I'm frustrated. Maybe I'm tired, fatigue, whatever. Well, what do we do with that? So this episode is going to be all about, okay, I acknowledge I'm not over there. How do I stay away from burnout land? How do I deal with stress now? How do I... Burnout land. That's that place over there we don't want to go.
Right,
I don't want to be there. I don't know. Nobody wants to be in burnout land.
It's the highest level.
Yes, it is DEFCON 5.
Yeah.
DEFCON 5 is the highest, I think.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't.
You guys
Feels
know
right.
what DEFCON is?
Feels right.
Like our national security level? Like DEFCON is like when our national security level is high, like nuclear war. That's like DEFCON 5.
Oof.
DEFCON 1 is like, oh, we're pretty safe. Everything's fine. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The Good Leader Podcast where you can learn.
Yikes.
things
That's a real
about-
deal. You guys didn't know
That's
that?
good to
That's
know.
like our national security, like military. If they say, wait, we are at DEFCON 4, like we've gone up a level, that's like, wow, serious
we
stuff
now?
is happening. 17.
That's fair.
Seems right. Feels right.
Maybe.
No, I don't know where we are. I don't know where we are right now. I wonder if we can look. I'm gonna try to look it up on the break. I'll look it up. But today, I'm not gonna dominate this intro. I've already dominated it too much. Tell me what you got going in your life. I want to hear a book, a documentary, something that inspires you that you're reading. Tell the good leaders out there, because we know leaders are learners, leaders are readers, leaders are listeners. What are they listening to, reading? What should we check out? Anybody got anything?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm always the first one to give these.
I love it.
Okay.
Anj, hey, you're the disciplined 20 minutes a day. You still reading 20 minutes a day?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
What I was about to say is a book. It sounds a corny one, but it's actually really good. Set boundaries, find freedom. Which honestly, I like to think I'm
That's
already a
very
pretty
timely
good boundary
with
setter.
our burnout stuff.
But it is the bet. There's a lot of books you can get out there, like be better, set a boundary, or no means no. I don't know. I've never really liked like boundary books, just because it's just
We can tell.
fluffy.
No
This
boundaries.
one's not. This one is like, okay, she's really great on like action set. Okay, this is how I'll describe this book. I've never known, I'm great at setting boundaries, but sometimes they're actually too hard. Like, it's like, that's actually, like, you don't need to say no that quick, that fast. Like, so I've always wondered, like, I think I need more language understanding. Like, what are things that are okay to say no to, especially with my family? Like, what do I have to not feel bad about saying no to? Versus like,
That's a big
I'm
one.
saying no, I don't feel bad. And it's actually okay you don't feel bad. That is okay not to do that. Because it's just stuff you learn over time in your life. And so it just all is normal to you, quote unquote. But no one ever tells you like, it's okay to actually say like no to that family dinner. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You know, something like that along those lines.
Yeah.
And so this book just did that for me. I can't remember who I was talking to that I had like said that. I just need more information. Like I just want more knowledge and information on that piece. Like what can I, So anyway, this book, Set Boundaries, Find Freedom.
Set boundaries. So tell me the name again. Set boundaries, find freedom. That's the name?
That's
Or is
not creative, which is funny for what we're talking about today.
What's the name of this book? This book is about leadership. Good name.
No,
Set boundaries.
She is about as clear
Find
on
freedom.
what she's writing.
Okay.
Which is probably a boundary for her.
Maybe.
Okay,
I like it. Set boundaries, find freedom.
No, I'm wrong.
Nope. Okay, back it up. Back it up.
Back.
That's actually not the name of the book. Set boundaries, find peace.
Find peace.
Which
Better.
is even better.
Better than freedom.
Even better.
I guess
Even
I
better.
guess peace
Not-
is synonymous with freedom in my head.
Not any more creative, but
No, but sounds
Deeper.
even more more
Set boundaries,
appealing.
find peace.
I want peace.
That's good.
Set boundaries, find peace. A guide
we're
to
at DEFCON 17. We could use a little peace.
a guide to reclaiming yourself. Yeah.
A guide to reclaiming yourself.
Yeah, I never saw that as the little
I love the
tag there.
tagline. You
But
had me.
she's pretty clear. The book is pretty much about setting
I'm
boundaries.
gonna
and
ignore
you
the
do find
tagline
peace.
because the tagline sounds very fluffy.
Yeah, look at it. This
That
is the cover.
tagline makes me think
That's
very
the cover.
fluffy.
It's the boxy one.
The boxy one.
Yeah. Yeah, see it.
Am I gonna like this?
I think you would like this on audibly.
Okay.
Like
I'll
it is
listen to
not a book you would like to sit down and
Okay,
read.
all right,
I
okay.
can tell you that.
All right. I listen to your suggestions.
And specifically part 2, honestly. The whole part 1 is kind of like describing stuff. I'm like, okay, I've lived all that. Thank you. Part 2, she literally goes into boundaries with family, boundaries with spouse, boundaries with work. Like every chapter is like the actual guide to it is okay to say no here. You should probably be more lenient here. This is where it's a preference here.
Interesting. Real how-to book. You're right. Most books like that are not how-to
They're
at all.
real too fluffy
Not
for me,
how-to at
but
all.
this one
Okay.
is it's part 2. I'll land there. Part 1 was a little dull for me. I will be honest. Part 2, I was like, oh wow, I never realized I don't have to feel bad about that.
Well, it is pertinent, especially as we talk about the burnout conversation. I think boundaries are,
you have it.
I mean, where are those yellow flags, red flags, all the things that we alluded to at the end? I think that's very connected to the boundaries that you're setting in life. And if it's a yellow or red flag, a boundary's probably been crossed.
Yep.
So how do you keep those boundaries as much as setting them? All right, Lim, Jess, you got anything for us? If not, that's okay.
I've been watching Mosquito Coast on Apple. It is not leadership related, but
Okay.
I don't even know why it's called that yet. I'm like 3 episodes in.
You still don't know why it's
Yeah.
even called. Wow.
That's the mystery. There's this engineer type guy,
Okay.
and he is on the run from the government.
But it's good?
This is
You
such a
like
good
it?
answer.
I was
It's well filmed.
just about to say this is a Lem
This is
recommendation.
good. I mean,
I love it.
It's a show. Y'all were asking, so.
it's good.
Y'all asked. So.
You know, I did ask. I did just say, I guess, anybody got any recommendations?
It's a recommendation.
You know, there's a restaurant I enjoy in Muskogee called Runts. You should check it out. That is
Okay.
a recommendation.
It's a good one.
What do you think, Jess? You got any recommendations for us?
I mean, the only thing
Mosquito Coast. It's good.
The thing I've watched recently is Beckham, and I kind of told you guys about this a bit, and I think it's really good for a few different reasons. I really enjoy pop culture, so I mean,
Yeah.
you get to look into the 2000s kind of a bit, and him and
Posh Spice.
Miss Spice herself,
You know
yes,
it.
and you get to look into the
Victoria, right?
Yeah.
Victoria.
Victoria Beckham and their journey and how they started, and I just love that kind of thing. But then you also get an insight on soccer, and the only insight on soccer I have is Ted Lasso. So
Okay.
I know
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
really
Which
about
was actually a great correlation. I was like,
Yes.
I am so glad I've watched Ted Lasso before I watched this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just
So
knew
you
nothing.
watched,
You know
Oh,
what?
I loved it.
and you loved it. Okay.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. You know what? I can't roast you too much, Lim, for your
I was
recommendation
going to
because,
say, why did she not get roasted, but I did?
well, number one, she had a reason. It's a documentary. You know, I'm very high on documentaries. I'm not going to
Okay.
roast a documentary. To me, a documentary.
Okay.
It's
Too into Ted Lasso era.
A documentary is it's to me in the same
You're learning.
field of an audio book. Like,
Okay.
what's the difference in listening to someone's autobiography and watching a documentary about
Sure.
that person? Very close.
Yeah.
Like, those
Okay.
are very close
Yeah.
to me.
Okay. It's just any documentary, though, right?
Pretty much. I mean,
Wow.
it's like reading any book or listening to a book. To me, now, once again, this is just out of the brain of
It's not
Jared
law.
Murr.
All right.
It's
not
not
law.
law. It's not law. It's just my thoughts.
Okay.
So I'm not going to roast you too
I'll chew
hard.
on it.
Especially, I just asked for recommendation. But I will say the last Apple TV podcast or Apple TV recommendation you gave me was Severance, and I really liked it.
Pretty good.
So I might check
Come
out
on.
Mosquito Coast. You were right on Severance.
Sometimes you just need to watch something that inspires you.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about creativity, I'd throw that in there.
Well, we
So
are.
wait, does this mosquito thing inspire you?
It inspires me from the fact that
Mosquito
it's very well made. So when I watch
Okay.
well-made things,
Okay.
I get inspired.
Well, which makes sense. You're
I
a
appreciate that
videographer.
Yeah.
You are obviously
Yeah.
our podcast
See,
engineer.
that's the point you should have driven home. Like, oh, you're not just watching this, you're inspired by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lem.
Well, he's not in sales.
driving it
There's a
home
reason
now.
Lemuel's not in sales, and we've never,
Where is
there's a reason
context
he's not
on
in
your
sales.
strengths?
There's more
Because-
behind the veil.
It's like,
I see it now. I
Okay.
can understand it.
all right. Well, today we are talking about creative work, but I think I'm going to put a little different spin on it because we are going to talk about creative work versus hard work. But I wouldn't necessarily say we're going to talk about creativity. I know that's kind of weird. I'm stepping into a little bit of ambiguity as we talk about the meat. I'm going to throw a few things at you, and I'm not even sure how we're going to land the plane. But in this whole conversation with burnout, hard work, playing hurt, I'm really connecting all these dots of the last few episodes and thinking about what does it mean to actually just work hard, play hurt, get something done. Versus also, we live in a world that is much more akin or aware of our social emotional health and our mental wellness and all these things. And we don't want to get out to Burnoutville. But I don't want us to, I am kind of an old man. I'm just a curmudgeon in the corner sometimes, just saying like, can't we just work hard? Like,
Sure.
Let's just suck it up.
That's
Just
where the dad comes out in you.
Yeah. And like, you know what? Yeah.
Suck it up.
Just do it. Can we Nike might have been onto something, just do it. Just, I know. But I don't want to be that guy. So I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to evolve. I'm trying to
You're
grow.
not that guy, pal.
Thank you.
You're not that guy.
But that's where I'm going to come from. So my idea is hard work versus creative work. And what's the difference? And maybe there's something to this in helping us figure it out. So after the break, we're going to do that. But to get into the break, I want to introduce you. Now, I think all of you have seen these. These are Medium Talk cards. And I want the audience to get to know us a little bit better. You know, we're sponsored by Paradigm Shift. Paradigm Shift, we do leadership training all across the world. Our vision is to increase the world's leadership capacity. But in that, we also sell products. So we do a lot of different things. But what's crazy is, so on this, you might even, you know, sometimes different people are going to show up on the podcast. Like the last episode, you ladies weren't even here. You know, it was just an all-male crew. It was just the boys hanging out with Mark Collard from Australia. Thought it was great.
Like a boardroom.
Yeah,
guys
did
lack
you
some
enjoy the
perspective.
podcast? Did you enjoy the podcast, Jess, without you?
It was kind of sad, but I'm really glad that Kyle got to be on. I feel
Okay.
like he really filled my spot.
Well, Kyle the intern was on. You might have Paradigm Shift Sam might make an appearance. You know, Gigantic Cade. We got a lot of cast of characters that might show up on the podcast, and so I want the audience to get to know people a little bit better.
Lindsay.
So one of the ways I call her Millennial Lindsay. That's my
That feels right
Or
too.
we can just go straight to mom.
the world's most millennial.
Ma.
The world's
The
most
marvelous ma.
millennial. Marvelous Ma. She got a lot of nicknames.
She really does. Wow.
Hey, if you got a lot of nicknames, you're doing something right. Way to go, Lindsay.
I actually agree.
I don't know.
with that
There's a girl
because-
in my high school who had a lot of nicknames. She wasn't doing anything right. All right, so that theory might not hold true. Okay, here's my question for you. This is from Medium Talk cards. I'm going to ask you a question real fast. You're going to give you the answer. These Medium Talk cards. This is not deep conversation. This is not what's your world's greatest fear.
Not small talk.
But it's also not small talk. You know, like how's the weather? What's going on? It's almost sweater weather.
Yeah.
So none of that. This is Medium Talk right here. And so I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to just rapid fire. Let me know what you think. What is something you like that most people don't? What is something you like that most people don't? And as you're thinking about that, for the audience clarity, they did not have these beforehand. So their wheels are turning. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see these wheels are turning over here. What is something you like that most people don't? You got an answer? I have my answer off the top of my head. Lamb fries.
I know mine.
I like lamb fries
Lamb
a whole
fries.
bunch.
What
Yeah.
is that?
I don't know what that
Lamb
is.
fries?
Lamb fries.
Lamb fries. Lamb fries. Or mountain oysters. Yeah, I like both. Lamb fries.
That's
They're-
funny. My mind went to food too.
It's
That's
food.
what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
What food were you going to say?
I mix cottage cheese,
I love cottage cheese.
tuna,
Ugh.
and I knew you wouldn't. I knew I'd lose you
Protein.
there.
She's hitting her protein.
Tuna and sometimes some Greek yogurt
Okay.
with hot sauce. Really good.
Wow.
Oh my
My
dad.
sister might
What
do
is that? 30 grams of protein?
It's like,
Depending
no thanks,
on-
I'm
30,
driving.
it's 30 grams of disgust.
40.
I try to
Yeah.
get 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that one.
Someone offered me that one time. I'm like, no thanks, I'm
Is it
driving.
true? Is it true?
What?
Wow. Lim likes dad jokes.
Jess is
Lim
gone.
loves dad jokes.
Jess is
Jess is off the pod. Lim loves dad jokes. We know that.
They're so good. good.
You legitimately like them though.
I love it.
He's crying.
It's
He
so
does-
funny.
He's crying.
He waited too. Like he really waited for
He
his
waited for
moment
me to
to
be
deliver
quiet.
it.
He waited for everybody to be quiet, and then
I love them because they make people cringe, and it's just something so enjoyable
I
about
cringed
that.
you
very
did.
hard.
Is that your answer? What is something you like that most people don't? Dad
Dad
jokes.
jokes.
That's
That could
actually
be.
that's
That could be.
actually so true.
Because I know you legitimately love it. You get hearty laughs out of every dad
So
joke I've
good.
ever heard you say.
So good.
Jess, what do you like that most people don't?
That was it.
Pass. You can pass. You don't have to answer.
Pass.
We'll come back to it. We'll come back. Maybe you'll think of it after the break. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about creative work versus hard work. And the queen of creativity herself, Jess, will give us her answer.
Paradigm Shift is the retailer for team building resources. At Paradigm Shift Store is the stop for your card decks, curriculum, and other team building resources. Visit www.ps.company/store.
Dynamite drop. I love the new commercial. You can check out ps.company/store. You can get those Medium Talk cards. You like that question. You get other questions. They're really fun. What will be back? What will be, this is a fun one. We'll do this
I love
next
this
episode.
one. Yeah.
What will be the back in my day 30 years
We
from
talked
now?
about this yesterday.
That's
Yeah,
a
we
fun one.
did.
We're not
I
going to
love that
answer
one.
now. I'm just telling the people at home where they can get these ps.company/store. What can you say proudly? What can you proudly say you have done that most people haven't? Where's the strangest place you have fallen asleep? What is your oddest but tastiest snack combo? Oh, Anj, kind of answered that one. 2 for 1.
That's a good one.
2 for 1. That
for
really
1?
is disgusting. Like that's
It's actually
what you
not.
described
It's
sounds.
like it is salty and spicy and I don't know the description for it. Does it feel like an odd mixture of baby food? It could.
It just
It
sounds to me like you're
could.
really trying to hit your protein.
I like it because I mean it's no carb. very, very little fat, if
could eat
any,
that
and
on-
like all protein.
I could eat that on a very crunchy piece of toast. I don't want just
I've
the
done
soft.
it. I've eaten it with sourdough before, and I've eaten it with like those like little non-dippers, you know. So like sometimes I'll mix it, but I'll also eat it by itself. I
More
don't
like
need
a
that.
dip. than
Okay, we have talked way too long about this disgusting thing. All right, we're talking about creative work versus hard work today. And I've been inspired, continuing our quarterback theme. I don't know how much you follow the NFL, but there has been a quarterback who has been playing because the starting quarterback got injured. But this quarterback, his name is, I'm looking it up to make sure I say it right, because he is an undrafted rookie. So he's an undrafted rookie quarterback in the National Football League. Now, just for comparison, that is a ridiculously rare thing.
Right.
To be an undrafted player in any professional sport is really hard. It's rare. Maybe every single year you might have a handful of people that even get to this, the actual contract stage that are undrafted in the entire league, let alone to be a quarterback to do it. In fact, I didn't do the research on this. I'm curious how many undrafted rookie quarterbacks have ever started an NFL game. I know they have that number, but I haven't found that. But I'm curious. It can't be very many. But this guy's name is Tyson Bagent. Have you heard this guy's story at all?
Not a ton.
Really? Okay, you'd be the only one. Jess, have you heard his story? Crazy story. So he's from a very small school called Shepherd University. Any ideas where Shepherd University is? Any state? Guess what state? What state do you think it is?
Minnesota.
Great guess.
Wisconsin.
Great guess. Lim, got a guess?
I have no clue.
West Virginia. All right.
Okay.
Little bitty Division II Shepherd University. We work with schools all across the country. I have never heard of Shepherd University. Yeah. And I've heard of some really peculiar ones. So when I heard it, I was like, where is that? So it's a Division II school. For those of you listening at home, Division II is the school that's down the road from you that you're like,
Right.
yeah, they have a football team. We don't really pay attention to
NSU.
it. Yeah, NSU. Go Riverhawks.
They have a football team?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
They're
Wow.
terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, we've had a football team. National champions, 1993. No big deal. So,
NIAA.
Since before I was born.
and so that small school, the small regional university is, like Southeastern, Northeastern, name your state and direction. Those are Division II universities. Good athletes, fine athletes, but not NFL caliber. This quarterback then, there's something called the Senior Bowl every year. And the Senior Bowl is where at the end of the football season, it happens in early spring, where seniors get to go to this bowl and show off, play a game to potentially get drafted. It's not your super elite players. They're not in it because they're already going to get drafted.
Right.
This is like the middle tier guys that you got a shot. You're probably going to get drafted. And this is a chance for you to boost your stock. So it's a lot of NFL coaches coach the teams. NFL coaches show up. NFL scouts are there. It's a really great opportunity. This quarterback and only one other player from his college were invited to the Senior Bowl. First time ever that this university has had anybody invited to the Senior Bowl. Oh. And the Chicago Bears staff just liked the kid. They just liked him. Like, man, this kid's got something to him. Like, he's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's obviously from this Division II school, but he's just got something about him. Good leader, good with other players, seems like a hard worker. He's just got it, whatever it is. He kind of has it, something about him. So they keep that in the back of their mind, but they don't draft him. So, okay, we like the kid. Great, you did a good job. This would be the equivalent of you getting really hyped up and thinking, this is going to be great. Maybe the Chicago Bears. Nope, they're not going to draft you. Okay, wow, disappointment. All right, so there's a lot to this. And I could have gone a lot of different directions with this, but this is what inspired my hard work. So this is just hard work. He doesn't get super disappointed. He just reaches out to these teams and to see if he can get an invitation to training camp. So the Chicago Bears said, you know what? Yes, we're not going to draft you. You're not going to get paid yet, but you can come to camp if you want to. So he gets the playbook, and this is the stuff that's really cool. This guy, he's got so many crazy stories. This is like a movie, and it's his dad is like a 28-time international arm wrestling champion.
That is so random.
Yeah, I'm shocked you haven't seen this on social media. He talk about Good Leader podcast. I'd love to just talk about his leadership because he really, I guess, took this team to new heights. This Division II team, but he started going for these 3-mile runs every day with his teammates because they would run to the Potomac River and do a cold bath in the Potomac River because they don't have the facilities at their school. And so they would just do this 3-mile run after practice, jump in the freezing river all together. Check it out. You can Google it up on social media.
Stuff
Google
like
it up.
that is you do not have an excuse. When I hear stuff like that, I'm like, you have no excuse but to just
Jared could be. That's it.
Out of the mouth.
That's a wrap.
Out of the mouth of babes. Here it is, right here. Thank you, Jess.
I'm just
Thank
saying.
you.
I'm just saying.
Okay, yes. So this guy, Division II school, you have this guy. Wow, he's got everything stacked against him. It gets even better.
I
It
can't
gets
wait.
better,
I'm
Jess.
ready. Redemption story.
So now he's doing this, which I love that. I love it. I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for all that.
Yeah.
More than that, though. More than that kind of stuff. Forget the crazy stuff. Just I'm working hard. He gets invited. He gets the playbook from the Chicago Bears. And all summer long, he practices at his just local high school with the Chicago Bears playbook. He has a friend. He puts in his AirPods because, quarterbacks have to hear, they get the play from the sideline, then they have to, that was a big part of quarterback, like all these ridiculously long things. He would have a friend. So his friend was on the sideline on a cell phone. He had his AirPod in, and his friend would send him the play, and he practiced reciting the play. He would just act it out like he's in the huddle, telling the play. He'd get the play in his ear. He'd tell the play to his imaginary teammates out there, and then he would just visualize the play to where everyone would go and talk to his friend. It's like, okay, this is the one where it's a slant on this side. It's this on this side. Yes, no, good. And he practiced that all. So then he gets to training camp, and he's fighting for a job, and the reason he gets picked, he gets hired, or, chosen to be on the actual team, like on the team, was because of that work ethic. And then there's a veteran on the team who's an established NFL quarterback. I can't remember who, but he gets replaced on the depth chart. So this guy, Tyson, goes on the second because he knew the playbook so well. Like, well, who's our second? It's this kid because, wow, he knows every single play. And it's just because he worked his tail off all summer with his buddy from high school on their high school field, just going through the plays.
Wow.
Well,
Isn't it cool? It's a cool story.
Yeah.
It's a great story. And it just made me think, I like what you said, Jess. Man, what's our excuse then for what you're doing, what you're trying to do? But I thought of hard work versus creative work, because most people, when you get this, it's like, okay, here's the playbook. Go memorize this playbook. By all accounts, I have never been an NFL quarterback, but I've watched a lot of NFL shows in the last 60 days.
Literally.
These playbooks are ridiculous. Like, wow, no wonder this is
they're
hard.
intense.
This is intense.
Yeah.
This is insane. This is confusing. This is hard work. But I'm saying hard work versus creative work because I like that this guy took this hard work and put a creative spin on it.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, okay, I got to sit here and memorize this, which I think would be most of our approaches. Even if you're a good student, you're memorizing, you're thinking about, okay, this is and you're visualizing and all that. He took it to the next level and put a little bit more creativity to it.
muscle memory.
Muscle memory, his own spin. I'm sure that was more, it's still hard work, but he put his own spin to it, his own creativity to it, to add a little fun, add a little nuance to help him get better. And so my thought then today is really our approach to work, much less about hard work and just our approach to the work.
Sure.
Hard work's going to happen. What we have control over is our approach to the work. Because I use this example then, I'm thinking of like, what is hard work? Because we think about, I don't want to be burnt out. I don't want to be stressed out. Okay, well, what is stressful? What is hard about this? What is draining you? I don't think we answered those questions. Once again, I'm not talking about the clinical side of I am burnt out. I'm already, I'm talking about the yellow flags, the red flags, the warnings, I'm just feeling stressed out. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. I don't think we even do the mental exercise of asking ourselves, what actually is stressing me out? What is hard about this?
I was kind of thinking earlier in the last episode when I was talking about burnout, that's kind of what I meant by like, there's a way for you to dig yourself out of this, but I wasn't really meaning like the actual like burnout. But like there are ways for you to pull yourself out of a situation like that. You just got to recognize them like
In terms of stress, like
Yeah.
when it's stressful.
Well, and I think, so, and this could just be semantics or my own connotation, but when you say dig yourself out, I think of a very like bottom up, like hard, like, okay, I just got to work hard and dig myself out of
Great.
this.
Yeah.
I actually would like to flip that and say, work from the top down. Instead of saying like, okay, hey, yes, you're in this stressful situation, but bear down. Even I started this podcast or, said like, just do it. Just like, can't you just bear down and get it done? I think that's many of our natural defaults. And like, even in this stressful situation, I just got to grit my teeth and do it, work hard. And even if we throw a cliche in work harder, not smarter, or work smarter, not harder, we throw those cliches around. But actually, if we pause and say, okay, how can I look at this work creatively from the top down? Knowing what is frustrating about this. And then my second premise with that, I'm thinking about this Tyson guy, and I'm like, wow, that is a really creative way to approach that paid off for you. Then I'm thinking about my own life and asking, well, what is hard? Because if you just think of something like that I would say is hard work, like I think of actual physical labor. Like I am going to go out there and dig a ditch or move this stuff like physically. Wow, that is hard work. I have a shovel in my hand. I have a tool of some kind in my hand. But then I look at my 5-year-old, and it's not work for him. He's working just as hard as I am. Like his little muscles are working. He's doing it with me, but he is having the time of his life. Seriously, it's like, wow, this is really hard work. And he's actually working. Like he's breaking a sweat. He's out here with me, but he is loving it. And I'm hating it. So my premise that I want to throw to you all is it ever really hard work, or is it work that I make hard? Oh, I know. See? I know you're thinking about it. I don't know that. I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying that it's a 1-for-1. But I just think that there is a lot more self-reflection and creativity that we can bring to hard work, projects, stressful situations, situations that are burning us out, situations that are creating fatigue that might help us not get to those points.
Something that seems to be a switch that would flip, and I thought about this as you were describing the quarterback who was imagining all the plays. To me, it seems like imagination is what switches it from hard work to creative work. The idea of, can I have a vision for why I'm doing what I'm doing? It almost makes me think of your vision talk about believing in what you're doing. So if I can see after this hard work, this is going to happen. If I can see the why, then I'm more willing to work hard than just see the work for itself. And like, oh, I'm going to grit my teeth and just bust this out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so I think what you're saying is vision helps you.
Yeah.
Vision, belief.
Yeah.
We believe in what you're doing. You can see the bigger picture. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's a piece of it. I think
Belief
that can help.
helps me too.
I don't know that for me. I can sometimes see that, but I can also feel. And I'm not saying that this makes. I mean, I don't know. I don't. There still may always be hard work, but I just think my approach to work is something that we underestimate. Is my whole point in all of this. Like, what is leading you to burnout? Well, it's obviously it's not the work, because person A, person B, person C can do the exact same work. One person's burnout, one person's stressed out, one person's totally fine,
But someone's perspective is just completely different.
and someone else is energized. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the work that makes it hard. It's the way it's we have more influence and control then in the way that we approach work. And I just don't think that we approach it that way. I think that we're looking for other answers often, where it's like, oh, okay, hey, I am stressed out by this. And I'm just thinking of trying to real world examples. You were mentioning in the burnout episode, you know, you've had people come to you and they think, hey, this project is stressing me out, burning me out. I just can't, give me something else. And I'm saying, like, well, sometimes that's not the case. And sometimes that's not, you don't have that option. So do I have more power, hard work versus creative work? That's where I'm premising this. I think that all work can be creative. We think of creative work as like, oh, I'm doing this play or this, you know, videography, or I'm creating content. I'm doing these things. I think human beings are naturally creative.
Yeah.
Don't shut that off when you approach your work or your hard work.
And I thought about imagination because that to me is so integral to creativity. I have to be able to imagine what I'm making.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you're saying really comes down to motive, which is why it's a hard question to answer. Because when you question it, every single one of us are motivated by something different, and even probably that would change our responses to that question as well. And so I didn't share this on the last episode, but it is a quote I really like about burnout, and I think it actually correlates to what you're talking about. The quote is, "Burnout happens when our doing exceeds our being." And you're talking about digging a ditch with Everett. And for him, he is going to be, his 5-year-old, is going to be the same person. Digging this ditch is not a detriment to him. Like, well, am I still going to be
right?
No, I'm just with my dad. I'm digging. There's no failure, consequence, identity at all wrapped up for him in digging a ditch. Where his dad in his 40s is like, I have to do it. It has to get done. No one does it if it's not me. I don't know if this is anything about digging a ditch,
going.
but
It's okay.
the imagery is there. Like, it's, if I don't do it, no one else will. There's a pressure. There's an expectation. There is now our identity start being wrapped up in this thing we're doing. It changes it from something that's fun, 5-year-old, to 40-year-old. Whether it's fun or not, I have to do it. So the expectation and the motive automatically shifts the way that we see ourselves approaching the work and what happens as a result of doing it.
Well, that's super deep.
That was.
And it's a very real comparison. I mean, That really is what creates the difference between it and everybody.
Well, but I think that even that super deep awareness and processing is often what we're not even looking at. And that's what I mean by approach.
Totally. That's why it happens.
And that approach is where it's not just like, okay, I'm going to go to the, I'm not talking about just psyching yourself out. When I say approach, I don't mean just like psych yourself out that this is going to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we're going to go do this hard thing. Oh, it'll be fun. Don't worry. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Come on. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. We've had people try to pump us up like that. And you're looking at them like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. This is not going to be fun.
BFFR.
Yeah, this is not going to be fun. But I actually think on the deepest levels then, recognizing, especially consistently, if I consistently feel drained, overwhelmed, hard work, is it because, boy, I'm putting a lot of my identity in this. I'm putting a lot of expectations on myself.
That's deep.
That's, well, that's what I'm thinking of when you said that.
Oh, that's
it's
exactly
our motive.
what I'm
and our
saying.
yeah, and it's like,
That's exactly what I'm
I'm putting a lot of that. So therefore, this stress burden, instead of, you know what? This is the task at hand. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to approach this differently. Now, I'm not saying also, I mean, especially that kind of work, that's some deep work, but it's worthy work. And it's worth asking like, wow, why am I so bothered by this? Why am I so burdened by this? Why am I so overwhelmed by this? Why am I so tasked by this? And this is something that Anj said that I think is, I'm going to take it a little bit lighter. But you said, hey, I don't think that changing your job is going to fix that. I actually would take it lighter and more across the board. I think changing your job is not going to fix most things. I think a lot of people just think, oh yeah, I'm going to switch jobs and that's going to make it better. Well, probably not. They're going to have different stressors over there, but it's probably going to be the same thing. In other words, if you're finding your identity in your work, you're going to find your identity in your work there too. Right. And the same stress is going to follow you.
I really like how you said putting your identity in it, because I feel like that's what changes the game.
Yeah. And so then so whether it is the deep, deep work of asking ourselves these big questions, like, boy, am I putting my identity in this? What is my motive here? Why is this so overwhelming? Why is this hard work? Why is this? And once again, hard work is different for everybody. But it's when I say hard work, it's almost like burdensome. Why is this burdensome to me? Why is this overwhelming? What are you thinking, Anj?
I'm actually thinking, like, you could probably see on my face, because my brain's really going here. I'm thinking, it's not the answer, but I think a thought to your question, well, how do we make hard work more creative work, is doing it with others or just simply talking about it. My brain just went to this quarterback you're talking to. None of us know if this was actually his idea. Like, what if it was,
I have no idea.
What if he was actually just spinning his wheels like, man, I have to learn these plays and I really don't want to. Like, this is not something I want to do. And it's his friend who was like, well, why don't I just call them through your AirPod? Why don't I just help you? You're going to do them. We don't have to play the whole play. But what if you just do that? Yeah. And I think sometimes, especially when you're digging the ditch and it is just you outside of your 5-year-old, it's, if I don't do it, no one will. The more siloed I think we feel in the work we're doing, the less creative it gets. And so it's when I'm the only one who can do it and I'm the only one who can accomplish it and I'm the only one who has to make this happen, we get this view of creativity and how we can accomplish that hard thing get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller down to, I have to do it. If no one does it, it doesn't get done. And now I'm pressured and I just got to dig the hole. At the end of the day, just got to dig it. So give me 8 different ways to do it, whatever, I'm going to get it done.
Well, isolation exaggerates.
Yep.
So
really does.
Whatever you're feeling, isolation is going to exaggerate that. It's on the negative side. If it's like, oh, this is only me, and then I isolate, oh, it's definitely only me. And then that isolation exaggerates all those emotions and those thoughts. And so I really like that, because then to tie it back in, do the hard work of asking, what is your motivation here? Are you glamorizing that? Are you rewarding that yourself? Are you the one saying like, I'm the only one that does it. If I don't do it, nobody else does. And you like that.
Right.
You like
you
probably do.
You are wearing that as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And that's
I've
not
been
healthy.
there.
That's
Yeah.
not good. I've been there. Absolutely. I've been
absolutely.
there. Like, I love being the hero. I like showing up. I like, I'm going to do it. I've had to work through some of those things. And that's where it's like hard work versus creative work. And I know, and that's where I'm even like challenging even the way that we think of creative work. Like, if I approach all of these things, whether it's these deep levels of motives, identity, what is bringing that to the surface, or just like, man, this is a more surface level frustrating. I just don't like it. It's a task I got to get done. I'm going to bring some more creativity to it. Create is the root that I want to end with you are creating most of this. I think you have more influence over the creation of this state than you believe. It's not just like, oh, this job is so burdensome and overwhelming and it's leading me to burnout. Maybe not. Maybe you have more creation in that than you think. Oh, well, yeah, I guess I am putting that pressure on me. My boss isn't. Some cases, your boss is actually asking you not to. You know, hey, are you taking a break? Or some cases, the world is not asking you to do that. You're taking that. You are creating that. I'm isolating myself. Like you said, I'm not asking for help. I'm not asking for anyone's opinion. I'm not asking for other input. And that isolation is exaggerating these feelings. So hard work versus creative work. Think of what you're creating every time you're going through a project. And if you are seeing those yellow flags, those red flags, those warning signs, those frustrations, those consistent overwhelming feelings, overwhelming stressors, then definitely pause and ask yourself, what are you creating now? And what do you want to create? Whether it is something as simple as, I got to learn a playbook, I'm going to get creative with it. And whether it's from a friend or myself, I'm going to do this creative thing. Maybe that's the answer. If it's deeper work and saying, wow, what is leading me to this point? What is my identity? What are my motivators? What actually is expected of me? What opportunities do I actually have within this world right now without just escapism, without just trying to like run away to change the outside? Look inside, do the tough work of creating something within yourself that helps you succeed, that helps you be whole and be a good leader.